most depressions are due to basically this idea of what's the meaning of life. I mean, I'm born, I go to school, I get married, I have children, I raise my children, I make money, meaning I provide for family, etc. I work. And I work and I work and I work, and all of my life is about that and raising family and all of that. Yeah, and I find some pleasures here and there, and then I die. uh, okay, then what? I mean, hello, what's this whole thing about? Ultimately, we all need to serve a higher purpose than just ourselves. So finding a purpose that gives you joy and you look forward into the next day and the next day and the next day, that's what we all need.
Welcome to the MINDTRX podcast with breakthrough ideas to live your best life possible and how to make it happen. I'm Paul Sheely, and today we'll be joined by Dr. Atousa Mahdavi. Dr. Atousa Mahdavi is a holistic health expert, speaker, and best-selling author of Holy You. She is a doctor of chiropractic, certified in integrative medicine, functional medicine, and Ayurvedic medicine, as well as a yoga master teacher and an Ayurvedic yoga therapist. Atousa is dedicated to ending chronic disease by championing a shift from sick care to a true wellness model. She believes in treating the whole person, body, mind, and spirit, and draws on her own powerful healing journey to inspire others. Dr. Atousa, thank you so much for being here as a part of this podcast. What a delight. Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, it was so nice to get to meet you as a result of a mutual friend and colleague who said, you two have to meet. And I absolutely agreed. I loved our initial conversation a while ago, and I'm very impressed in your origin story. I love your book, Holy You, that's WHOLLY. And we share so many of the same passions for mind and body consciousness. So if we could, just tell a little bit of the origin story of how a doctor of chiropractic medicine found yoga science and philosophy.
Yes. So when I graduated from the chiropractic school, I was trained to be a doctor, a healer, but not a business person. But as chiropractors, most of us start our own practice. So you literally have to run a business at the same time that you're practicing chiropractic medicine. And I was not really in tune with business. And pretty soon, I found myself wearing the hat of a manager, of a marketer, like a promoter, and a doctor, and the business person. And and I got busy pretty quickly. And having employees who work for me are on the payroll, paying the overhead, it was really stressful for me. And it caused much anxiety and sleeplessness. So I had insomnia, anxiety, and stress that I didn't know how to manage. And with the recommendation of one of my friends, she said, have you done yoga? And so I started going to yoga classes, and pretty soon I'm like, okay, I'm as busy as before. I'm running the same practice. Where is the stress? Where is the anxiety? So it was just my system that was managing it better as I was becoming more still in my mind and more stable in my body. So this is my journey to yoga.
That's great. And you and I share a bit of the same lineage in the Himalayan tradition of yoga science and philosophy, and know some of the same people. But let me ask you, for those who don't know a lot about yoga, why do you feel that being able to establish a pharma-free lifestyle first path to vitality is so essential in our modern times.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I believe that we need a paradigm shift in the way we look at health culturally, not only in our healthcare systems, but also culturally. The culture of waiting until you're sick and you have serious symptoms and then seeking medical care, at which point they're going to give you some medication to mask your symptoms or get rid of the symptoms, is sicker, is the model that we have right now. But real medicine has to be through prevention of illness. So before you develop any symptoms, you have to focus your life on living a lifestyle, a diet, nutrition, mindset that supports health and wellness. And so therefore it would prevent any illness or sickness from happening. So in that sense, it's a pharma-free life because it is the food that you eat that's your medicine. It's the way that you breathe that is your medicine. It's the water, the environment that you surround yourself with is the environment, is the mind. So even the environment within you, at the level of the mind, at the level of the body, that is your medicine. And so that is, in a sense, the path of yoga. Because as you know, with Ayurveda as well, which is the sister science of yoga, it is all about lifestyle, diet, nutrition, and mindfulness and yoga.
Well, I'd like to go back to this idea that if you are symptom free, that's a place of neutral. And we've got illness on one side or disease, and we've got high level of wellness on the other side. And we could do a scale of -10 to +10. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not sick, so I'm at 0,
Yeah.
symptom free. But it's really, there's so much more vitality available to us when we have a practice, a mindset, a lifestyle, a diet that supports us in high level wellness. What did it take for you to really find that sweet spot in your own life?
Right. So what you have not experienced, what it has not been in the realm of your own experiential, uh, basically experience, or if you haven't accessed something, then you don't have a point of reference. So if you, let's say, if you've been used to having an energy level of 5 out of 10, let's say in a scale of 1 to 10, and you've always been at 5, you do not know, you do not have a point of reference of, oh, there is an energy level at 10. And so for me, my experience of reaching that was when I started really engaging in Hatha yoga and Kriya yoga. Suddenly my energy shoot up to levels that I wasn't familiar with. Like, I'm like, wow, I can do so much and still at the end of the day, not be tired. At the end of the day, still not be exhausted and just not wanting to do anything. And at the same time, I'm able to sleep soundly. Like I put my
Mm,
head on the pillow and fall asleep, get a restful sleep. I don't, you don't keep waking up in the middle of the night. And when you wake up in the morning, you're refreshed. So that was my experience. So you could wake
yeah.
up, get out of bed, you're looking forward to the day, to what you need, what's ahead of you, and the level of the joy that you have, the level of happiness, the alleviation of all the negative thoughts in your head. And just you walk on this planet with a certain level of gentleness and with a certain level of awareness that is unfamiliar. So when
Yeah.
you're at the neutral, you're here where, okay, you get your things done, but your health is not your priority. It's not like you're consciously designing a life that supports higher and higher and higher levels of health and well-being, both at the level of the body and mind. But you're just basically going through your, average self, and you have
kind of getting by.
and getting by, yeah, literally. But
So,
yes,
this is an important set of distinctions that if we're at neutral, we really don't think about well care. Most of the time, we're thinking about sick care. And so when we have a sign or when we have a symptom, then we start, I'm not sleeping at night.
you're
I
right.
just feel so drained. I'm worn out. So you have an intersection, not just of chiropractic and Ayurvedic, but you've also brought in functional medicine and this idea of a healthy lifestyle. And you describe consciousness, balance, structural alignment, physiology, and chemistry. Could you let's take each one of those as something that our listener can start to pay attention to? Could we start with this idea of
Yeah.
consciousness and what you got becoming a yoga master yourself?
Right. So going back to those four different levels of alignment, let's say. So structural alignment. This is something that I learned through chiropractic. Because remember, chiropractic came to me before yoga.
Yeah.
And in chiropractic, we say that structure determines function. Structure determines function. And so within your structure, you have the musculoskeletal, you have the nervous system. And as a chiropractor, but also as a yoga person, we know that the spine is the access to the universe in yoga. In chiropractic, we say the spine that basically supports the nervous system. The brain sits on your cervical spine, and then the brain matter travels through the spinal cord, and the spinal cord branches out with spinal nerves that carry the message of the nervous system or the brain to every organ, every tissue, every part of your body, down to the very minute small cells in your body. And so if, let's say, you're structurally not aligned and you don't do anything about it, those messages are not carried through the different parts of the body to have proper communication pathways. And so therefore, the physiology, the function starts to diminish.
And
And
this is one of the main reasons why I found chiropractic care together with my hatha yoga or physical yoga practice
Mhm.
was so essential
Yeah,
because I lived a much more robust lifestyle with it. The other thing that was quite important about yoga that brought to me was meditation as well as breath work. So could you say a bit about that?
absolutely, absolutely. So when you and I both know that when we talk about hatha yoga, in the West, most people are just looking at the physical asanas, that we're just doing a physical practice, right? Which is
Power yoga. Yeah,
yeah,
the kind
right, right. Power yoga is like most, popular nowadays, I guess, in the Western world, or hot yoga,
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera, which is not the traditional yoga, which is hatha. But hatha, a part of it is asana or posture, which goes to the same conversation about structural alignment,
Mhm.
which comes externally through chiropractic, but internally through the asanas of hatha yoga. But asana is the third limb only of hatha yoga. Before that, you have the yamas and niyamas, which is how to manage yourself internally and how to manage your life externally, how to treat others or anything outside of you, how you treat yourself and within you, the kind of conversations that you have. Is it self-criticism or is it loving, etc.? Those are the
Now, just
units.
for those who don't know, yamas and niyamas are also known as the restraints and the constraints about our internal and external activity in the world. So please continue from there.
Yes, absolutely. So then comes asana, because with asana, you're addressing structure. With asana, you're addressing the body in not only in its physical form, but in its subtle form or energetic form, where is one of the aspects of yoga and yogic sciences and Ayurveda, that the body, it's not just physical, but it's different layers of vibrational frequencies from gross to subtle and subtler in yoga. So when you engage in the physical practice of asana, you're also really in tuning the energetic body, which basically is comprised of the energy pathways, the nadis, the chakras, which are the energy centers, the strong, powerful energy centers in your system. And we have 114 chakras in the body. We have 72,000 energy pathways or nadis. So you do asana, but you're really balancing the energetics. Anything that is pent up in the energy system is going to be released. The blockages are going to be opened up. And so the body has a better energetic flow, but the structure is also becoming more aligned, stronger, but also more flexible, etc. Then comes pranayama.
Well, and I want to say that if you think about, say, a guitar, it's got 6 strings. If you're out of tune on any one of those strings and you try to play a chord, it's quite dissonant. And, there is no sense of harmony. But with each of these asanas, there's a fine tuning that's occurring to these energy channels. And if we could reduce those thousands of energy pathways down to 6, you'd get a sense that that's what's actually happening. And then we get to this remarkable science called pranayama, which is first unit of energy, prana, that flows from the source or the mother, and yama, which is control. So it's learning to control. And as I've understood it, pranayama is the most complete of all of the yoga sciences. So simple breathwork practices can have a really profound effect on you.
Yes, so exactly. So going back to that same conversation that in yoga, it's not just the asana, it's then pranayama or breath work, which basically unites the body with the mind. This is the bridge, the pranamaya kosha or the breath body. It's a bridge between the physical body, anamaya kosha, and the subtler body or the mind, which is manomaya kosha. So the breath is essential in the union and stability and stillness of the mind. As you know, people with anxiety have shallow breathing, or they stop breathing. They don't even know for like the few seconds they're pausing. They hold their breath. Their chest is tight. Their belly is tight. They don't do abdominal breathing. The diaphragm should expand and contract as someone breathes properly. And so that is the distinct recognition of the link between breath and mind, the link between the body as it is opened, your chest cavity, your chakras, your prana that flows freely in your body, the life energy, which is carried through the breath. And if you're not breathing properly, so therefore your mind is not still, you have patterns of thoughts that are moving from one thing to another, you really over-identify with your thoughts, and you're holding your breath, you're not breathing deeply and slowly. And so that's the breath to answer that original question that you have. The breath. Yeah.
The simple way that I often put it when I'm just teaching someone a mindfulness practice is that the breath is that invisible link between the body and mind. So if the body is stressed, it affects the breath and that affects the mind. If the mind is stressed, it affects the breath and it affects the body. So just working with the breath alone, allowing it to be continuous and smooth, not hesitant or halting or pausing. And then also, if you can, have it be even so that the exhale and inhale are of a similar duration. And what that does is it immediately also brings us into more of a focus in the
Mhm.
present as opposed to other places and times, which mind is always wanting to go to, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then where does the idea of functional medicine come in this model?
So functional medicine came to me again. I always tell my students and my patients, it's like that life throws something at me so I can find a solution for it for myself, but then offer it to other people. So I simultaneously almost with discovering yoga, and because of my anxiety and everything, I would say a couple of years later, I started having food allergies out of nowhere. And literally it was like to almost everything. Like I would eat something but obviously it's not like my lifestyle was. So, because of the business aspects of my work, I would eat out quite often. And so I was eating all kinds of, things at nice restaurants, but they weren't the kind of food that my body wanted. And it was in line with my constitution, in line with my nutrigenomics, etc. But at the same time, I had toxicity in my filters in my system that was accumulating and not detoxing properly that caused the food allergies. So again, this brought me to functional medicine. So suddenly I'm doing more research as a chiropractor and I come across functional medicine. And then I study and realize certain things about food allergies, toxicity, how to detox, the blood type diet, the way you could read a blood analysis and see nutritional deficiencies. It resonated so much with me that I embarked upon studying it and getting certified, helping myself first, which completely worked like a miracle, and then helping others. So
All
that's
right.
my, yes.
So let me ask, oftentimes people hear, oh, well, I need a detox, and they suddenly go very rigid and restrictive, and they overswing to the opposite side. So could you say a little bit about what kinds of detox practices an average person might go through just to help themselves out?
Right. I would say an average person, not necessarily diagnosed with any health issues, etc., to keep it really conservative. Um, if they do intermittent fasting, it's one of the most mild, gentle ways of a natural detox every day. So let's say,
Okay, let me say that one of the things I learned from yoga really facilitated that, because if I'm going to go to bed at 10:30 at night, I
mhm,
should stop eating
mhm,
around 7:30 or 8 p.m. at night.
mhm,
And when I get up in the morning, then I do my yoga practice. I might not eat again
mhm.
till 9 or 10 a.m. So that is a natural kind of intermittent fasting. When you say intermittent fasting, how do you define that?
Same. So my definition of intermittent fasting is 2 meals a day and you eat within 8 hours in a day. Within 8 hours, you have your meals, 2 meals. And for me, then I distinguish for different people. If you're the kind of person that has a very strong appetite and you get hungry and you have hunger pains, you could eat 2 meals, the first meal between 10 to 11 a.m., the last meal between 5 to 7 p.m. In between, if you're the kind of person that has a strong appetite, from 1 to 3 p.m., you could have a healthy snack, like fruits with almond butter or carrot and celery sticks with hummus, for example. So that's 8 hours of window that you're eating, 10 to, let's say, 6 p.m., or 11 to 7, or 9 to 5. But then after your last meal or second meal, you don't eat anything until the next meal the next day, which is 10 or 11 a.m. That's 16 hours of fast, but most of it is sleep, your sleep. And obviously, the rule of thumb for health and well-being is you want at least 3 hours of gap between your last meal and bedtime. So if you go to bed at 10 or 11, obviously, if you finish eating at 7, you go to bed at 10, you have followed that rule that you have 3 hours of gap. You go to bed at 10, you wake up at 6 or 7, or maybe you will go to bed at 11. You wake up at 7, 8 hours of sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Then in the morning, you wake up, you do your morning rituals, you are getting, you're showering, you're doing your yoga, you're preparing your work day, etc., your meditations, whatever it is. Then before you know it, it's 10 and you have your first meal. This is my definition of intermittent fasting. It's gentle, everyone can do it. And it allows that 16 hours of fast allows people to go through a natural process of autophagy, where you are getting rid of dead cells, you're getting rid of the free radicals that have basically accumulated through just life living in this body, and basically your own detox pathways start to grab on to unhealthy cells, free radicals, proteins that are no longer useful, break it down, push it out. And yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed right away is by following that kind of routine and eliminating foods that weren't so healthy for me, which I've come to understand over the years, the inflammation in my body radically disappeared. I mean, it was stunning. Wake up in the morning and, oh, my fingers hurt and I'm puffy in the face. I feel really awful. But boy, shifting that, what a difference. Could you say a little bit about constitutional uniqueness from person to person? And rather than having somebody have to figure it all out themselves, I want to refer people to your book, Holy You, and also to the practice of Ayurvedic medicine and functional medicine. But tell just the kind of the brief story about what is constitutional uniqueness.
Yeah, so if we look at functional medicine and Ayurveda with a constitutional uniqueness or nutrigenomics, which is kind of saying the same thing in the language of functional medicine. So from this perspective of Ayurveda, and of course, we all know that intuitively, that we are very unique individuals, with very unique thumbprints that cannot be duplicated. There is nobody else like you. It's not just an esoteric thing or a physical thing, but it's also very much a constitutional uniqueness. Now, in Ayurveda, we say constitution is based on the play of the bioelemental energetics in the system, which we call them dosha or constitution, which is comprised of the 5 elements. And with the play of the 5 elements, which is similar to Chinese medicine, every individual has different dominances of these bioelemental energies or the 5 elements. Now, based on that domination of the 5 elements, every individual has their own unique combination of these elements. So you got Vata, which is the combination of air and space. So if you're higher in Vata, or you're higher in Pitta, which is fire and water, or you're higher in Kapha, which is water and earth, then you have a different manifestation of these energetics in your body. And therefore, what you need to eat would be different, that is good for you, would be different than someone who's a different constitution. And as soon as you apply this rule to different doshas or constitutions, people's health take a drastic change towards better. And in functional medicine, and I'm being very brief, with functional medicine, it's based on your unique blood analysis, the nutritional deficiencies, your nutrigenomics, like what are the unique genetic adaptations in your ancestral line to food and dietary staples. as your ancestors evolved. And so, for example, you bring a Japanese person to American diet. I mean, most people on American diet probably are not gonna do well, but you bring a Japanese or the Native Americans that ate in a certain way and suddenly are on the modern American diet and they have all kinds of health issues, etc. So that's nutrigenomics, that's constitution as well. So when I bring together Ayurveda and functional medicine, I apply both principles to the individual and personalize their own unique individualized diet, lifestyle, nutrition, so that they do not follow any fad. Like everybody has to be vegan, everybody has to be, and like on uh, Atkins diet or keto diet. No, everybody is a unique individual with their own unique needs.
Well, I think your book does a beautiful job of really establishing why it is useful to make some of these distinctions. I mean, if you're hanging out with people that tend to eat a certain way, and every time you're done with them, you feel terrible the next day, then this is a signal that lets you know you might want to take a look, because some of the foods that you're consuming in those social settings aren't in your best interest, and it becomes toxic to your body, and detox is going to be an important part of that. Now, one of the things I love that you said in your book is that not everyone is into spirituality. So you guide them. Understanding consciousness is not, you don't have to be a yoga practitioner or practice a religion in order to follow these principles, but to follow what you call meaning and purpose. Could you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, we're all born into this world on this planet, beautiful planet, Earth. And if you think about it, most depressions are due to the basically this idea of what's the meaning of life. I mean, I'm born, I go to school, I get married, I have children, I raise my children, I make money, meaning I provide for family, etc. I work. And I work and I work and I work, and all of my life is about that and raising family and all of that. Yeah, and I find some pleasures here and there, and then I die. Uh, okay, then what? I mean, hello, what's this whole thing about? So a lot of people find answers to this: who am I? Why am I on this planet? What is what is the idea of this whole creation? I mean, it's pointless. What is it, right? So a lot of people find answer seeking on the path of spirituality, right? And eventually they come to realizing that there is a higher consciousness that resides in all of us, and you're experiencing life to understand and recognize that divinity inside of you. But for some people, spirituality is not the path. For some people, they don't resonate with it for some reason. But they have the same dilemma. Like, okay, so what? Like, I'm born and now I get married and I have, and after a while that love, sensation and chemistry fades away. Then there's the kids and then there is the work. So ultimately, we all need to serve a higher purpose than just ourselves, just to provide for the family. And if that's your purpose, and if that gives you joy, then that's your purpose. If loving your family and providing, being devotional to your family is your purpose and makes you happy and enthusiastic when you wake up in the morning, then that's your purpose. So finding a purpose that gives you joy, gives you a purpose, and you look forward into the next day and the next day and the next day. That's what we all need. So for some person, maybe it's, your purpose is to provide for your family, to love and be devotional to them. For some people, maybe it's your job, but most people unfortunately hate their job. But how do you, even with the job that you're holding, how do you attach enough positive value to that job that you look forward? You're an Amazon delivery boy or girl. How are you putting smile on the faces of people that you just delivered something to them? Find purpose, find a meaning to what you're doing that is as a service to humanity. This is finding meaning or purpose in life. So it could be from the perspective of just like a transitional work, like Amazon work, or delivery boy or a waiter or waitress or whatnot. How are you serving? There is purpose in that. If you have gratitude for what is, and you have a meaningful purpose to serve others with that mundane job that you feel is mundane, if you have gratitude for that, life would bring you open other windows that you could serve at a higher level. So
that's gorgeous. Yeah, that's so beautiful. This idea that we are born into this world with a purpose that is written both on our hearts and minds is something that I've spoken to just about everyone that's ever heard me. And recognizing that requires an inward journey into this now moment to recognize that we really do have all that we need to fulfill that purpose. And I know we're about out of time here. I wonder if you were to recommend to someone, say, just has 10 minutes in the morning, and how they might put together a ritual from your work in Holy You, what would your recommendation be? Something that could help them start the day and live into it with a greater sense of fullness and purpose.
Yes. So let's say the 10-minute routine in the morning. So I would say we all wash up and take a shower, or just wash our face, whatever it is. Maybe you take a shower at night, but whatever it is, before you, like when you wake up, before you engage with that washing, start to run the kettle, like start warming water. Then go wash up. By the time you're cleansed and you're clean, then drink a couple of cups of warm water. That by itself starts the movement in your digestive system, detoxification, etc. You could squeeze some lime or lemon in there. That's great. And then you go sit down and just focus on your breath for a couple of minutes. If you're familiar with alternate nostril breathing, you could start with alternate nostril breathing or just diaphragmatic breathing. One hand, left hand on the belly, where the belly button is right there. The right hand on the chest, in the center of your chest, which is the heart. And you close your eyes and you focus on your breath. With each inhalation, you notice that your belly rises first, then your chest. With each exhalation, you feel like the belly falls and the chest follows. You make your breath rhythmic, slow and deep. You do this for a few minutes, maybe 2, maybe 4 minutes. If you're familiar with alternate nostril breathing, you could do 2 minutes of alternate nostril breathing. You block one nostril, you exhale through the other, inhale through the same, then switch, exhale, inhale, switch. That's 2 minutes. That balances the energetics between the right and the left energy centers, brain, whatever you want to call it, the nadis. Then you sit silently, maybe with palms up on your legs. Sit in a comfortable position when you're doing this, whatever that is for you, because not everybody can sit in cross-legged. And then once you're done with the breathing, maybe you say a prayer if you believe in prayer. Maybe start by saying gratitude for 3 things that you're thankful for in your life. Maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your family, your children, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your work. Whatever it is, maybe it's the gifts that you have, maybe it's your health, maybe it's the beauty that surrounds you. 3 things that you have gratitude for in your life. Start with that. Then maybe say a prayer or an affirmation. An affirmation for people who are agnostic, or not on the spiritual path. You could just say something like, every day I'm supported by people who love me and guide me, or the universe always comes to support me and see that I succeed in serving my highest purpose in life. So just have an affirmation that resonates with you. And this whole thing is probably 10 minutes, not even more. But it's important to start with the breath, to calming the breath, to calming the mind, which is connected to the breath. Stable body, so you sit still as well in a comfortable position. And once the breath is settled, the mind is settled, bringing gratitude and affirmation.
That's so gorgeous. It seems so simple. And I really want to encourage our listener that don't be deceived by the simplicity of it, because every one of the things that you said is backed not only by modern medical science, but by the ancient wisdom traditions that go thousands of years back. Our tradition of Himalayan yoga meditations, 5,000 years old. Same with the ancient Chinese medical model, 5,000 years of human study that has come to understand that there's so much about our modern lifestyle, which is antithetical to our high level wellness. So thank you much for this. If you could give one word of encouragement or one thought of encouragement to the listener, what would it be?
I just want to leave people with this thought that never give up. If today doesn't look that promising, understand that life is dynamic. It changes all the time. Everything about your life is dynamic. It changes. Things will shift. Things will change. Tomorrow, the next day, the next month will bring in better opportunities, better results, better health. Don't give up. Don't quit. Life will always bring you a better situation if you have faith, if you wait, and if you believe in yourself and believe in the universe and its loving ways. The best things are awaiting you. So don't.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Dr. Mahdavi, thank you so much for being a part of this. It's a pleasure to be with you again. I hope we get a chance to see each other again soon.
Thank you, Paul. The pleasure is mine. I look forward to working with you in the future as well.
Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Atousa Mahdavi. You can learn more about Atousa at www.yourvitalitydoctor.com. And now in the second part of the podcast, it's just you and me. I'll tell you how to use the Paraliminal sessions in the MINDTRX app to easily handle obstacles and move toward the success you want, especially as it relates to Atousa's message. If you're new to the relaxing Paraliminal audio sessions, they use breakthrough technologies to activate your whole mind in only 20 minutes to help improve any area of your life. Let's get going. Hello, this is the follow-on to our conversation with Dr. Atousa Mahdavi and her remarkable work in the field of functional medicine, yoga, chiropractic, Ayurveda. She's a wonderful combination of many lines of scientific research and ancient wisdom. And I absolutely resonate with it because of my long history with many of those techniques. So it was a lot of fun for me. And when I think about putting some of her ideas into practice and how we might be able to use the paraliminal technology to support it, There are 5 areas that I looked at: health and wellness, balance and harmony, detox and nutrition, mindfulness, life purpose. We could probably get a lot more, and there are a lot of paraliminals that could be supportive. But let's go through each one of these 5 areas and my top recommendations. So in the area of health and wellness, we have 2 that are most focused on that. The first is called perfect health. And perfect health is generally something that we pick up when we're on that spectrum from high level wellness to disease. It's below the neutral line. So there are some signs and some symptoms. But I would like to also encourage you to think about perfect health as one that you could listen to anytime, because there is a relationship that is established between you and your energetic highest level or highest expression. And to be able to merge with that, that's the real key. So perfect health is one. The other one is 5 elements healing. In the same way that Ayurveda has their elemental references, traditional Chinese medicine, which is what's inspired 5 elements healing, is also quite beneficial. So as you bring on board more of the full potential of what you can create in your life, you're bringing balance and harmony to all of the organ systems within you. Very good for health and wellness. But this also leads us to the second major area, which is balance and harmony. So one of the areas that I would recommend is prosperity paraliminal, because what this is saying is any place in your life where you feel there is a lack or a limitation of some kind, you can bring a greater sense of access to the vast resources that are available to you with the paraliminal called prosperity. Now, Dr. Atousa also suggested that when we get on the path of living our life purpose, the universe tends to provide to us everything that we need. Now, the prosperity paraliminal addresses that quite directly. So you are connecting with these greater potentials within you and making them fully accessible. The second paraliminal in this area of balance and harmony is a favorite of mine called fresh start. At the end of the dialogue that I had with Dr. Atousa, she was saying that it's never too late. No matter where you are, there are choices that you can make, and the universe will provide you with the direction that you need. And Fresh Start Paraliminal is a great way to really put us in a position to receive all that we do need. It's a lovely recognition that right now you have an opportunity to start again. The third area was detox and nutrition. Now, I see that our conversation moved toward intermittent fasting. And so in the area of detox and nutrition, I would suggest ideal weight, which has 2 parts. One is your relationship to your physical body, and the other is your relationship to food and how you consume it. And so ideal weight is a great way to think about not only nutrition, but also how you can get out of your system those more toxic elements that no longer serve you. So ideal weight doesn't necessarily mean that you're overweight. It could be that you're underweight and need to eat more effectively. Ideal weight is finding that ideal place within yourself, your unique constitution. The second paraliminal is sleep deeply, wake refreshed. Now, this is a paraliminal that helps in that transition between wakefulness, dream, and sleep, not only going in to a sleep state, but then awakening into the day. And as Dr. Mahdavi was suggesting, those 10 minutes when you get the day started is a great time to come into the world with real purpose, clarity, and intention to create the day that you want to create. So the sleep deeply, wake refresh paraliminal helps in that area quite a lot. The fourth area was mindfulness. And mindfulness is a kind of a catch-all term for an embodied awareness, and to walk through the world more embodied, more intentional, more physically present, mentally and emotionally available to the good that comes to you is what mindfulness is all about. The first paraliminal I would recommend is overcoming overwhelm. When we feel that we're at the effect of the world, that the world is doing us, this is a great way to reverse that. And the technique of dropping in that starts the paraliminal is a technique of mindfulness that I teach all over the world. Really helpful to just, in a moment, find a way to become very present, balancing the breath, balancing the mind and body. And as we talk about that invisible link between body and mind is the breath, overcoming overwhelm really gets us connected to that flow of the breath. The second paraliminal in this area is what Dr. Atousa had referred to at the end is a gratitude practice. And so I would recommend the gratitude paraliminal because it's a powerful way to connect us to all of the good that's available. Or as my friend Lynn Twist says, the great fullness of life that is always given to us at a level of sufficiency that we need. Now, in our modern lifestyle, we have a real scarcity mindset. No matter how much we have, it feels like there's so much more that we could have. But the gratitude paraliminal puts us in touch with a sense of contentment with the bounty of goodness that is presently available. Really helpful. And the fifth area is the idea of life purpose. There are two paraliminals that I've recorded that get at this from a couple of different perspectives. One is to do a reverse look at your life and to see what is the trajectory of your life that brought you to now. And that paraliminal is called Finding Yourself. It's very powerful. It's pretty long, but it's very contemplative. I pause and I have you ask yourself a set of questions, and it puts you in touch with more of the deeper meaning of your life's path to this point in your life right now. And the second paraliminal is looking on into the future and the fuller expression of who we are, and it's called self-actualization, where we're actually not only moving beyond self-esteem to being a self-actualized person living with peak experiences on a daily basis, but also the idea that the highest level of self-expression is self-transcendence. Now, there is a subtext to what Dr. Atousa was referring to, is there is a transcendent reality, a divine nature that's within us that's much more than our physical experience of living this human day-to-day existence. And so this paraliminal gives us an opportunity to really touch that deeper meaning of who we are and what we're here to do and be in this lifetime. Well, that's it. Do have an opportunity to listen in to these paraliminals and discover for yourself the great balance and health that is available to you every single day. Thanks so much for being here. Until next time, peace and blessings. Thank you for joining me today. I applaud your willingness to maximize your potential. You can easily use the paraliminal audio sessions in the MINDTRX app to stimulate your non-conscious mind, that is, your inner mind, to reduce any resistance in your life and to propel you toward the success you want. Go to www.mindtrx.com/go. That's www.mindtrx.com/go. These amazing audio tools have helped millions, and I encourage you to bring them into your world today. Be sure to be back for more episodes of the MINDTRX podcast. You'll find insightful conversations with authors, experts, and thought leaders, all devoted to improving your life's experience. Thank you again for being here on our MINDTRX podcast.